Hello and welcome to the virtual towers of Binary Arcadia, where the games go on long into the night.
You're joining us today where we're talking all things Death Stranding. We're going to start with a whistle-stop tour of the story and the world as we can see it so far, and then we're going to dive deep into the trailer, breaking it down frame by frame with a more granular look at it. So without further ado, let's join tabs at the flip chart. Ding!
Right then, so I wanted to give us a real whistle-stop tour summary of what we know so far in terms of story and the main dynamic in the world. So we've got the main protagonists, we've got Sam Porter-Bridges, and we've got the main antagonist, Mads Mikkelsen's character Cliff, is what we know so far. The main dynamic being the duality between the normal dimension and what we're calling the chiral or hell dimension. So we know Sam's a bit special. He's got this chiral allergy condition which allows him to sense any sort of blending or merging of this chiral world into the normal dimension. We don't quite know how far that extends or what it looks like in its entirety, but we also do know that the bridge babies have a very important role in this because they allow Sam to see chiral entities. Again, we know the bridge babies have some sort of charge, there's some sort of consumable almost, which is a moral dilemma in itself, but we don't know exactly how they work. We know that it allows them to see the entities. One theory is that this also allows him to step back and forth between the worlds, because we might think of the baby as being in an unborn state, so essentially between life and death, which creates that link. So one of my personal theories is that Sam might be able to, when he crosses over into the chiral reality, when he's dragged down by these chiral entities, the bridge baby gives him a certain amount of time until it is drained to get out and back into the normal reality. So that's one theory for me. We don't know though, there's a lot of moving parts, so we can't be sure. Mads, let's just talk about Mads' character. So we know from the recent trailer at the start, Mads was introduced in this kind of normal state where he's not got all these kind of blood, darkness, you know, his hair's not gone all white and grey. He looks quite normal when he's talking to a bridge baby. My thoughts on this is, and Rich's, that Mads is perhaps the primary mover of this whole story, and in fact may have been a scientist with good intentions that back in the day wanted to do something monumental in the world, and has in fact unleashed this chiral hell dimension on the world inadvertently. And in the process of doing so, this has corrupted him, almost like the Venom symbiote in the MCU that's got under his skin, it's controlling him, and he's kind of power drunk on what he's channeling from this new dimension. These symbolise the four horsemen, if he is death, if you like, and his four horsemen of the apocalypse. We've seen figures with him throughout a lot of the trailers now, specifically four figures that seem to be representative of this, and we'll dive into it in the trailer in the granular analysis, but these guys seem to be a permanent fixture by his side. So yeah, that's the whistle-stop tour just about of the story and main dynamic in the world. The next flip chart slide, if you like, I wanted to show you was just to focus on the landscape. So this is the landscape generally, this new fragmented world that's happened after Mads' experiment, shall we say, went badly wrong. We believe it's Sam's modus operandi, it's his reason for being, to actually reconnect this world in some way, shape or form. So we see pylons in this world. We believe in this shot these could potentially be cable reels, which literally means that Sam is quite physically reconnecting the worlds. He's laying down some sort of perhaps fibre optic network. We don't know how that's going to work or what that's going to link up. Is it just a giant comms network? Is it going to somehow link up the passage of energy, which brings the world back together in a much more important way? But that seems to be one of the key elements there. Geopolitically, well, we've got bridges, or the UCA, United Cities of America, apparently formed by Amelie, who is, we understand, the former president of the USA before all this took place. They seem to be the main good guys in this, the main good faction. We've got the Homo Demons, which represent this terrorist, extremist, separatist group. And it's actually said, it tells us in the trailer that they are protecting the independence of Edge Knot City. So we might think of that as some sort of kind of pirate, outlaw haven, that they're enjoying their power in this new world and they want to protect that new status quo. And then we know we've seen another kind of element in Fragile, who appears to be part of a different company to Bridges. Handled with Love is on her back. That maybe hints at a different role she has. And we also know, as Sam gets attacked by some other potential, I'll put bandits here, or faction. So there may be multiple factions that we've not yet been introduced to. And again, Sam's job is trying to reconnect everybody in some way, which Amelie says is super important. So yeah, that gives us a nice overlay. I think it's probably about time we get Mr. Rich involved. So, bye for now.
So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the sort of gameplay mechanics that we've seen in the trailer. Very quickly, we're going to broad brush some of the things. So let's talk the Carll Sensor. This is the thing we've seen on their shoulders. They appear in different colours. I think with blue and orange. And I think we've seen the alternate faction. They also have ones that seem to sense Sam for some reason. But these in essence, they sense the chiral energy. In essence, they sort of make this flower opening and closing sort of thing when the chiral energy is around. But also, we've certainly seen in this latest trailer that they are able to in some way deflect bullets. So whether we think maybe they're a protection system in some way, but that's maybe getting a little bit out there on that. So we don't know everything about this, but that's certainly what this is. We've seen handcuffs on most of the people we've seen, and these are interesting because they have a light on them, which seems to suggest whether you're in the hell dimension or the real dimension. This seems to in some way suggests which one you're in, but it has a second handcuff on you, which is very strange. We can't quite work out what that is. Maybe it's feeding into you in some way. But certainly this is on the characters all the time, but the other part, the handcuff, is put on when they go out into the world. So we're not sure about that. Obviously we've seen the bridge babies. Tabs has spoke about that and how we think they work. We certainly think these are engineered babies. There's something about these. We don't think these are like natural born babies. There's something odd about them, and they obviously have some link to both the current realm and the hell realm, so it's a bit odd. We've seen this other character who we're calling Fragile. She seems to be almost like she works for a different company, this Fragile Express. But she's very different. She's never seen with a bridge baby. She's never seen with a Carll Sensor. She has this almost suit which has an inbuilt Carll Sensor, and these spikes sort of like pop out at different amounts to sense the dangers. So that's very strange, and we think this is maybe a battery that maybe powers this. She also has this weird like pyramid-like umbrella that seems to maybe protect her from the time fall. So that's strange. We don't really understand that because we've not seen anything that can protect anyone from the time fall. So that's strange. People just run away from it. She's also seen eating a grub, which we're not sure whether this is how she in some way can survive in the world, whether this is giving her some energy or power or minerals or something that she's required. So we're not sure on that. One thing we are fairly confident of at this point, we think this is a second playable character. From the cutscenes you've seen, she's in a cutscene without Sam. So we think this is probably a second playable character. And that brings us to one of the things we've seen that seems to be a lot of focus on during the recent trailer is these dog tags. Now we have two takes on this. Me and Tabs disagree a little bit on what these are for. I think these are like keys and control panel seen in one of the videos, as if you could plug them in to open gateways or open something. The dog tags are seen with equations written on, and the equations mean different things, like black holes and all manner of different things. But Tabs thinks these are very similar to the runes in Breath of the Wild. He thinks these give Sam different abilities. So an ability to manipulate time or the weather. We're not sure. Tabs thinks this plays a key role in mechanics of the game. And currently we don't know enough about them, hence why we're in two different rabbit holes with that one. But definitely I think these are going to be an important part of the game. Moving on, and one of the coolest things that we've seen in the trailer, and we think this, if this isn't in the game we'll be disappointed, this is that cool an idea, but this is asynchronous gameplay. Now what we think here is, and we've seen this where the chiral energy appears in both the normal world and in the hell dimension, is we see these like almost lifeless bodies that are semi-invisible, that can be sensed through the Carll Sensor and also through the sensor array that Sam Bridges puts out in one of the trailers, and that sort of shows you what they are. They have these almost like umbilical cords connected to them. Now what we think is this is like a map. These create like a maze, and you have to, using your Carll sensors, you have to like head around these or find the route around these. That means you can escape or get back to wherever you've come from. Almost like Minesweeper-like, where, you know, if you were to start here and you would come up and you would cross this like umbilical cord, that would initiate the being dragged down into the hell dimension, basically. But with this, and we think this is why you can track your footprints, so if you do go wrong and you get back there, you can see, right, well that's the wrong way. But also we feel like this gameplay mechanic is shared with other players if you choose to play asynchronous. So you create a blue path of footprints, which is like a correct route out of there, and you can share this with other players to create like a map of this maze-like area and how to get through it to get out of where you are. I'm really, really, really excited about this. Really cool. And I think that's probably all I've got to say on that. Right, let's get into it.
So, baby being naturally born, first of all, seemingly anyway.
What's the significance of the fact that all of the babies we see have a thumb in their mouth?
Yeah.
It's really weird. It's almost, and then on this one, it takes the thumb out of its mouth and we go into the baby. It's almost like it's the thumb's in the mouth protecting it some way so nothing can get in the mouth. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I think you've got to be careful with Kojima. He just likes things to look cool, doesn't he? So sometimes there's probably not a lot in it.
Yeah,
it's just looking.
Yeah, you're right.
Making it look cool. And then we've got Mads.
Blood on his face, though.
Blood on his face, yeah.
Which is interesting.
But we think this is him at the start of this whole journey almost, before the world's gone wrong, perhaps.
I think this is where it's starting to go wrong.
You reckon?
So
part way through.
Yeah, we'll come later on in the trailer. It's right near the end. I think that's before at the start. Mm-hmm. But this, with the fact that there's blood on his face, I think that this is more. Something's happened at this point. There's
an experiment's taken place.
Exactly. Yeah. Something's happened. Something's gone wrong, and then he's saying, "I'll look after you. I won't let anything happen to you."
Yeah, and he refers to it as a BB. So that does tell us, though, that there's already this term at that point in time of a bridge baby.
Yeah.
So does he work for bridges? You know, is he?
Did he engineer the bridge babies?
Did he create that technology?
Is that his thing? Is that what he did? Is he a scientist, an engineer, and that's what he created?
Yeah, but he doesn't. He seems pretty normal, doesn't he? He doesn't seem.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you think he seems pretty normal. It's just, why has he got blood on his face?
There's a creepiness there still, isn't there?
Yeah,
but not.
Although, having said that, maybe this is the first birth of the first bridge baby.
Yes, but the problem is, I think you can see some sort of reflection, like it's the baby's in a pod still.
Yeah.
So unless he's got it straight in, it just seems a bit strange.
But maybe it's birthed, and they'd already got these, because they're like created like wombs, aren't they?
Yeah, they're like artificial wombs, aren't they?
So maybe the babies come straight out and into there, or maybe it was born into there, because we don't know the mechanic of that. We don't know whether that's...
Yeah.
We don't know how that works, do we?
And they certainly don't look like normal babies, do they?
they look a bit weird to me.
Or having said that, we have seen these scars on some
Mads, Cliff, and on Sam.
as whether maybe the babies are grown inside some of the characters. Maybe
Yeah.
inside that pod, they have the pod put in, the baby grows inside there, and then it's removed.
Well, I've heard it said that there's potential that the babies are clones of you, which helps you create this unique link.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, if that is the case, well, it might be that they are grown. You've got a little baby clone grown inside you, and you...
Yeah.
It could be.
Oh, interesting. I see what you're saying.
I mean, we're grasping at straws here, so again, we don't know, do we?
No.
But it's potential.
But let's move on. He genuinely seems like he cares about this baby, though, for whatever reason.
There's an emotional bond
Yeah.
and attachment there, definitely.
But then maybe, actually, if we are going to this thing where maybe the babies are clones of themselves, maybe this baby's just been taken out of him through that procedure that we've seen with the crosses on them, and that's why he's got blood on his face through the procedure.
Yeah, so it's like his own birth.
Yeah.
And that's why he's almost bonding with it like a mother would a child.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is possible, actually. That could be a shout, that. Nice bit of singing from Mads. So, cut to...
Interesting.
I think this is Amelie's hand. Amelie,
So
the
this-
former president.
Yeah, this here, yeah.
You can see this sort of age defect or, kind of sickness on her hand. So it
Look,
looks
we can see it there quite clearly. There's
Much
these
better.
almost spots or something, like she's diseased in some way. So we're not sure what that's about. But
I will say that there's a link here, perhaps a tenuous link with PT, Silent Hills, only because Lisa in that was with baby. She was the character who was murdered, apparently by husband, and we see a pregnant woman with a greyed out face,
yes.
who seems to be missing from the remainder of the story so far. So there's a tenuous link there. I don't know if there's some similar themes, motifs. But what we feel, Rich, don't we, that perhaps Sam was married to Amelie's daughter.
And we think this is Amelie's daughter here, don't we?
And then Sam is therefore, he is her son, Amelie's son, but son-in-law.
Yes, yeah.
Which seems to fit nicely. Maybe not, but fits nicely.
It's interesting why this character's face is greyed out as well.
Very
It's
interesting.
almost like... I don't know, almost like that's purposely done, or that... I don't know.
Do you know what it makes me think of a little bit? Back to the Future.
Yeah.
When they stopped existing,
They disappeared out of the pictures.
disappeared out of the picture.
Oh,
Whether
maybe.
that's when the
Maybe,
time
yeah.
explosion took place, she somehow got wiped out
Yeah.
of...
And I think definitely a younger looking Sam here.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Younger, more cleaner, fresher
Yeah,
looking.
definitely. So here we see our first look of Sam traversing the world on this amazing looking motorbike.
Cool.
Twin wheels at the front, so like a reverse trike. Looks like there's graphics all over it. I wonder whether there's some customizability here.
Yeah,
maybe.
We have seen when he does a wheelie, those two front wheels, I'm sure they close together.
Yeah, and,
So
like come in, don't they?
Yeah,
Which
so
we
I
can
wonder
mention.
to what extent this is convertible. This is,
Yes, okay, yeah.
could it be taken
Yeah.
on land, sea? Could it fly?
Or,
I mean, we don't know.
and clutching at straws here, maybe you have large cargo to move around or collect, and you sort of
Expands like a...
if the front wheels, when you do a wheelie, the front wheels automatically came up on further on in the trailer. Maybe you do that and you connect onto some sort of a trailer or truck that you can then drive to where you need to.
Yeah, maybe.
Possibly. I don't see why the wheels would retract. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
But
Just to point out there, we see some boots on the back. And we see boots throughout this trailer.
yeah,
So there's some sort of a footwear element there. Different boots for different territories. What that would do, make you just a bit quicker.
yeah, I don't know. Definitely, there's a lot of kit here.
A lot
It's
of
on his
kit,
back,
yeah.
on the back of the bike, bags. Look like bridge crates. Yeah, it's
So
interesting.
big survival element.
yeah,
big
definitely.
kind of,
Yeah. I mean, this is like packed up as if you're going on a long haul. You're going to have to tent or sleep out. We see these crows or ravens. Also, you can see very in the background there's like some
the
animals,
wildlife.
and I think you can see these running.
Some sort of sheep or goat, maybe. Or yeah.
America's finished.
So just to point out, we think they're running from this phenomenon that they're calling timefall.
Yeah, that's what it's been called.
So it's this weather that comes in, mostly starts with rain, followed by some sort of a storm.
Yes.
Which is essentially this, again, another way for the chiral energy to come into this normal dimension.
Yeah.
But we'll come back to that.
And then we've got some dialogue here. They're saying America's finished. So they're suggesting that whatever America is now, it's finished. And then we cut to Sam with what we think's the president of this...
And Amelie.
Yes.
Yeah.
What we think is the president of this United...
Cities of America.
Yeah, so that's the United States of America obviously doesn't exist anymore. Maybe the states have dissolved and now it's just cities dotted around one massive state.
One city we know of by name, Edgenot City,
Yes.
which belongs to these Homo demons.
Mm-hmm.
So how many cities we don't know, but this seems to be, this the former president rallying together and creating this Bridges organisation to reconnect the world.
But I think this looks like the White House. So this looks, but also it's got this Bridges logo on, as if the lighthouse is sponsored by, or whether this Bridges company is a governmental company that they're doing the work for the government. I don't know. I'm unsure on this bit.
And I think it's interesting just to point out all these strands coming down. I mean, they're obviously, she's sick and poorly, and they're probably all sorts of different feeds, intravenous things to keep her fit and healthy. But there's that strand element which kind of mirrors some of the chiral stranding you see, which is interesting. But yeah, moving on.
Sam, if we don't all come together again.
So here we see this timefall that Tabs referred to a moment ago. This is obviously some sort of timefall storm that's coming around. If we move this on, you can see some of the crows and ravens that we've seen. They're falling out of the sky when they're being hit by this timefall.
And shortly we'll see a fantastic animation to illustrate the effects of timefall. Very shortly, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah, crack of lightning there. And here we go. So this is what Tabs was referring to. This timefall, it literally like speeds time. So you see this bird's dropped out of the sky and it like ages in front of you basically, and all of the foliage around it grows exponentially and dies because it goes through its life cycle.
So it's like time, but also like death. Because ultimately that's what time will cause.
Absolutely.
Speed things along to death.
Exactly. And then we clip back to the White House.
I will just kind of just stop us there. One thing I will say, that there was an advert, I think on the collector's edition, where the name Death Stranding was seen with a subheading of Timefall. Whether that's going to reveal to be the full name of the game, I'm not sure. But there's obviously some kind of colossal importance of this Timefall element. So yeah, read into that what you will.
We do. Alone, we have no future.
Glasses.
And we can see Sam is obviously looking at this timefall storm and thinking, what the chuff, I need to get out of here.
Bridget, you're the president of jack shit.
So we can see that this is the strange thing, right? He refers to her as Bridget, although she looks like is it the Lindsay Wagner character?
Yes.
Who is Amelie.
Yeah.
So she's got these she's known as two names, doesn't quite make sense.
Or is two separate characters in their entirety. We don't know that. I think it's interesting as well here. So we've gone from, we see the time fall, the it's dropping on things, but now the rain particles are like almost opening up these areas where the chiral energy can come into this realm,
piercing the normal dimension.
Exactly,
almost.
yes. So and then Sam decides, I'm going to get out of here. This looks dodgy as, and then obviously bombs off on his bike. Nice
depiction, this kind of sludge, oil, smoky smogginess, all kind of that corrupt sort of depiction of the chiral energy.
And he's away.
Hello again, viewers. Just to explain for those of you with keen eyes, Rich and I have changed outfits miraculously, and that is because we experienced some sort of chiral phenomena that we can't explain. No,
We a friend came over and we've decided to reconvene the next day with our deep dive analysis. So fresh eyes.
Yes, exactly. So we left it where the Bridges elevator was going down into what we think is an MGS style mother base type area. So this is like a home base where you'll upgrade weapons, all your loadouts will be stored there, all your equipment. Maybe that's where you upgrade your equipment. This, I guess, is where vehicles will be stored.
Yeah, this is it. This is like your tool shed.
Yes.
You know, I suppose, and like Rich says, Phantom Pain-esque mother base.
Yeah.
Hopefully with a few improvements. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right, couple of bits to talk about here.
Juicy scene.
Exactly. Right, first off, Tabs, what are we thinking on this handcuff?
We've already touched upon it in the summary we did previously. Rich touched upon. It could be multifunction. We're not entirely sure what the function is. I think best guess so far is it's an indicator of health for Sam.
And you can see here, if I just roll this on a couple of screens, that it's currently showing blue, which we think is
Good health.
Yes, yeah.
Good health, blue. Orange maybe there's even a red for, think Resident Evil.
Yes.
That sort of pulse indicator of how healthy he is.
However, we don't quite understand the significance of the second handcuff, which he clips onto himself before he heads out into the world, doesn't he?
Yeah, which...
Very strange.
It's either by design, because Kojima just likes a bit of fruity design.
Yeah.
And it might just be giving us, sending out a bit of a red herring vibe.
Yes, yeah.
But at the same time, it does make you think, well, this is really important to keep on your person, so much so that I'm going to handcuff it to myself to prevent it ever leaving me.
Yeah.
Which kind of suggests it performs some really important role, which may not just be as a health indicator.
Yeah, which is why I think we've mentioned on our earlier piece that maybe this sensed which world you're in some way. Or
if you're in the normal or the Norman dimension or the chiral dimension, it might just differentiate, because sometimes maybe it gets confusing.
Yeah, exactly. And then what we think will be probably a fairly important part of the gameplay is this dog tag type thing. We see them with 6 here. I think there's at least one shot at some point where it's got like equations on it, basically, which seems to be for all different things, like black holes and weird bits of science, aren't they?
All sorts of, like, I think, famous revolutionary science equations that seem to have a meaning in terms of physics. So because of that, my personal theory is that I'm really attached to, just because it would be so cool, is a la Breath of the Wild with your runic abilities and that Sam has access to these, actual physical tools to manipulate the world he's in.
That's it.
We've seen with Mads, or Cliff character, he seems to have almost total control of matter manipulation in the chiral realm. So perhaps this is Sam's version of that, which just gives him some kind of elemental control of things. However, you have a slightly different opinion.
Well, we'll see later on in the trailer that he stands in front of like a control panel with these, and there's almost what appears to be like slots for them to go into, which we can touch on when we get that far. But so I'm more thinking these are keys in some way for a control panel which does something in the world. We just don't know what.
Both valid theories.
But it could be a combination of the two.
It could be a halfway.
It could be they are controls, but by putting it in, it allows you to do something in the world. I don't know.
While we're here, should we comment on Norman Reedus' armpit hair?
I don't think we need to. I think that can go unspoken.
It's quite detailed though.
Yes, unnecessarily so, I would say.
Kojima all over.
Yes. Video Kojima game, as we know. See, and here we see. So he's already got the band on, which is highlighted blue here, either showing he's in the normal dimension or he has good health. And we specifically see him clip that second handcuff onto himself, as if that's super important in some way. So,
and in terms of context, it looks very much like he's getting ready for an expedition. He's obviously in home base because he's got another suit behind him.
Interesting to note this suit. This is obviously a red suit. Now I wonder, is this sort of Breath of the Wild style? This red suit allows you to go in maybe a more hot environment.
Love it, yeah.
And we've seen on previous trailers that there is almost like a Mars-looking scape, where it was red with grey. I think it was one of the shots where we saw him being followed by one of those little hovercraft things. And he was wearing this suit as if...
Yeah, it looked very volcanic.
Exactly. So maybe there are different suits, have different attributes that require you to be in different areas. So,
and we'll later touch upon a scene when he's in the snow.
Yes.
And again, he's got I think it's a different suit.
Yeah, it looks like a different suit, doesn't it?
It looks more stocky.
Definitely.
So
as if it's like more padded out.
Yeah, and I definitely think it's a hint towards this very heavy, deep survivalist system that's in the background there.
And just a note to this song, I really like this song. I think it's a really cool song.
Gets the blood pumping.
Definitely. And another reference to boots. We see this continuously as if there's something about boots, like almost like you can't touch the floor with your bare skin in some way.
Maybe, yeah.
There's something about boots. I don't know what it is.
I think, and we'll see it more and more, I think it is going to be quite stats heavy, quite RPG heavy.
Yeah, okay.
In terms of, as we talked about the survival elements, having the right boots for the job, the right kit. Yeah. It's all going to be quite intense, I would say, from what we can see. Yeah.
And here we can see this is obviously he's either just come back in, maybe there's a way that you drive in here and you drop it off. So he's either returning here or he's just kitted himself up ready to go out and he's leaving here.
And you've got this kind of vehicle, what do they call them in Command & Conquer? The vehicle, like, repair panels.
Yes, yeah, potentially that's what this is. And this is like an automated machine for repairing it.
And suggestively upgrades maybe as well, which is really cool.
It looks like a really weird, like this is like a band above it, as if
scanning loop.
Yes, and that's interesting that appears blue as well, as if that's scanning this to make sure that there's no chiral energy on it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no residue that could cause problems.
Again, it could just be a repair doll.
I mean, we should point out, it's a good little segue to the fact that there does seem to be this general association of blue with Sam, blue with normal dimension, and orange with chiral dimensions, orange with the bad stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very vague, but...
And we see Sam, he's got the bridge baby on. It looks like he's got some other bits of kit on him. He's well kitted out there. It does make you wonder, with all these plates that he wears, which is obviously for, the flight cases and all that we see on him, like how much stuff can he take? Like it looks like you could have packages here, on the back.
He's a pack horse.
Yeah, it's crazy. And here we see the world. First, like, good glimpse of the world.
Kind of a Breath of the Wild moment.
Yeah, almost like, you can sort of think, well, it looks like you can sort of go anywhere here, we see these strands in the sky, which we don't know the significance of them still. I had a thought that maybe these would be almost stations, and these are what you're trying to reconnect, but...
Potentially. Yeah, but they could just be chiral phenomena again, coming in from up above.
Or for all we know, there could be spaceships up here. That's what this is about. But also,
be a giant jellyfish in the sky.
Also, interesting to note this fog that we've got here. Now, I really like this. I feel like it adds to the atmosphere. But from a technical standpoint, it also allows you to have like a field of vision so that you don't have to load the entire world out.
Yeah.
Sort of Silent Hill-like, but not like 1 meter in front of your face.
No,
and also it's fairly obvious that this fog is see-through in a way, so you can see through it. But it definitely would help the engine to do what it needs to here.
From what we've seen of the competence of the Decima engine, I mean, it's probably just literally for mood and atmosphere.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's nothing to do with technical limitation. But whatever, it looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Right.
There's a couple of bits to look at here, so I'll start here. So we see Sam with a hat and some different glasses on.
Cosmetic?
Yeah, I think the hat's probably cosmetic, which again I think that's a nod to the fact that all of this lot is customisable here, or a lot of it is at any rate.
We pray that Kojima's not been lulled into the microtransaction trend.
God, I hope not. But I think you've got something more important to say about this in the background here, this K5 structure.
Yeah, and I think that's growing. Maybe I'm starting to win you over with that part. But
yeah,
Rich thought initially, after I pointed it out, that this was just some, a damaged structure, a residue of a damaged structure, which mirrors the rest that we can see in the picture.
but I just thought it looked a bit too deliberate, a bit too organised, and perhaps this is some sort of structure that's been erected by Bridges or Sam, and this is maybe symbolic of, you know, the different cities, areas in the game.
Quadrant maybe?
Yeah, a quadrant allocation, which is K5.
Yeah.
And perhaps this is some sort of, you know, part of the comms network that Sam seems to be reconnecting. So I think there's something there. And also, Kojima did share this in an Instagram post the other day, this picture.
He did, yes.
And we know
as if like it has more meaning than you think.
Yeah.
As if to say, don't just think there's no meaning in this.
Take another look.
I think it's also interesting to know, and we see this pretty much continuously, that whenever you see Sam walking around, he's looking around. So if we play this through here, look, he's looking around the whole time.
Yeah, that is interesting.
And you see that constantly.
It reminds me of Wind Waker. Is it a pointless dynamic, or is it something again that will be helpful to you as a player?
Yeah, I don't know.
If he's locking onto stuff for you.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously not the camera you're playing with here.
No, you know, cinematic camera.
Exactly, yeah. So your camera's more likely to be behind here looking at, which is another reason why we think there's some significance with this K5, because it's purposefully done to show him looking at Sam with that in the background, you know.
And you'll point us out something soon which may connect with this, but we'll wait.
Potentially. And it's interesting to know that this is obviously some sort of wrecked world. You know, this may be a freeway that used to be here, and, you know, just utter destruction.
Dystopian.
As if we're obviously in some sort of post-apocalyptic world. It's fairly obvious that that's what this is.
It's very Fallout, isn't it?
Exactly, yes. Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how you can interact with this environment. Like, is this the path through here, or is it go through here how you like, such as like the Breath of the Wild style?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how that's been done. And because I think if we look back at, say, MGS4, that was very much an open world but very linear. You couldn't really go. There was like, whereas MGS5
was larger areas, but it was still
very much like
closed.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas MGS5 was into the full open world where you could take your own path the way you needed to go. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes, because he says this has a singular story.
Yeah,
the story is very singular, so it's not a story that you choose to play how you want. You choose to affect it.
Well, he has mentioned there's a choice there. I'm sure in the Tribeca thing he did mention something of a choice, but it's obviously just maybe, you know, one or two choices which has an effect, but it's not like a sprawling multi-choice.
I wonder whether that's like you can choose to kill off one of the characters or whatever.
Yeah,
it doesn't affect the story, you know. The story, because he said it's a singular narrative. The story is the story. It's
yeah. There's maybe a little diversion of a timeline, but it's not significant.
Yeah, exactly. And then again, another look at these dog tags, and again, this is almost showing that they have power in some way. We don't know how or why, but they have some sort of power here.
And I also looked at Sam's face in this, because he does look quite in awe, quite interested, excited by them.
Yeah, like he's almost like wondered at them. You know, like what are these? They're so cool.
So that gives more credence to my theory that there's some sort of ability that he's kind of, you know, enjoys, essentially.
It's interesting to know he's obviously got some different necklace on here. Is this dream catcher that we've seen?
Yeah, that is interesting.
We've seen him a few times. I think, do we see later on him falling?
When he's seemingly going into the chiral world.
And then the dream catcher sort of, you get a glimpse of it. I wonder whether that's this. So
yeah, that's interesting.
What's the significance of that?
That's just what he wears in his downtime.
Yes, maybe. Or that's underneath all his kit at all times. Because
maybe, yeah.
Does it zoom in on this, and you can see that there's a piece of this gold material in right.
I can't recall that, but I suppose we'll
back
see
to
later.
that.
But importantly there, even more importantly in this scene, I think, Rich, is something you spotted.
Yes, so if you look at this in the background, we've got this map of the United Cities of America.
That's right. Yeah.
Or the UCA as they're terming it. And we see this yellow dot, which obviously indicates where we are, which is around sort of Washington. So that's where we think we are, isn't it?
Yeah, the Oval Office scene we've already seen. It seems to suggest, you know, you are here.
Exactly. But I think it's really interesting that if you look at this, it's almost split into squares. And you can see some of the squares are highlighted as if they're illuminated, and some of them are not illuminated as if these have been in some way connected to, and then it refers multiply to connecting the world again. and then a lot of it is greyed out as if they're unconnected.
Essentially, a measure of Sam's progress.
Potentially, that's
Reconnecting the
what we're
world.
thinking, isn't it? We're thinking maybe this is your progress map. This is how far you get. Yeah.
Which fits nicely with him sitting in his home hub again after a mission.
Yeah, and I don't think we're necessarily saying that Sam has got to go to every quadrant here.
Yeah, because that looks like a large game.
There's obviously multiple people that work for this company that do the same thing as him. It's just we're following this particular person.
Perhaps.
Sam.
Yeah.
You know? So we don't know on that.
One final thing just to note, just to link up with some of the videos, we see these handprints over Sam's arms, which we know or we believe each time you come back from the Carll dimension into the normal dimension, you have one of these handprints on. I think that's what we understand.
Yes.
Or is it after a void out specifically?
Yeah,
We're not
possibly.
sure. But there's something there with that particular effect on the body.
And I think in this shot here, we're looking at his home, basically, where he resides. This almost looks like a bunk bed. This is where he sleeps or whatever.
It'll fold out, hinged bed or something.
Yeah, that's it. And then first glimpse of a new environment. We've not seen this environment before in the stuff that Kojima showed us. This is a snow, cold environment. And
Bitter, hostile.
it's fairly obvious that he is properly well wrapped up here. Even his flight case cargo looks like it's wrapped in some way, doesn't it? If we just come back here, it looks like it's got some sort of wrapping on it to protect it from the elements.
Boots again.
Boots again, there must be something about the fact that we see boots all the time.
And it's almost, it's clear as day really that he's got some sort of an exoskeleton on his legs.
You can see it here, coming up here, and you can see the lights bit here. And I think if we roll this on, the light flashes on it on his right leg. There, which I think suggests that's more of the exoskeleton, which proves that it's all over him and he hasn't got maybe an injury on this knee or something. I think he's using this to get up here, which suggests maybe that you can't access certain areas before you've upgraded your equipment or you've unlocked.
That's the barrier to entry. You need this exoskeleton for this particular environment.
A bit like, and we keep referencing Breath of the Wild, you couldn't go to the hot areas because you die until you had a meaningful way of getting through that, be it hot armor or heatproof armor or the heatproof elixirs that you could take.
Yeah, there was different ways of doing it.
So yeah, exactly, yeah. So it almost closed that area off for you, and that almost created a progression through the world. It wasn't open to you everything at once, and I wonder whether this is the mechanic being used here to stop you from just exploring the entirety of the world straight off the bat.
Which, to be honest, I love the idea.
Yes, really do, yeah.
And then one final thing just to point out, again, a theme motif throughout the game, the trailers we've seen, this upside down rainbow.
Yeah, and we don't know what the significance is of that at all.
Just another weird and beautiful phenomenon.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, maybe there will be some pseudo-scientific explanation for it at some point.
Yeah.
But
one thing to note is I love the snow dynamic here. I think this
gorgeous.
is so well done. This is such a good looking game. I mean, look at
he's
this.
leaving the tracks. He's also disturbing the snow in front of him.
Yeah, and also it's mounding up. He's not just, and that's how it would, because you would almost be scooping the snow.
Pushing it.
Yeah, exactly. It's so really well done, that is. To reconnect a fractured society, which is exactly what we were just referring to, about reconnecting all of this entirety.
The grid.
Yeah,
the dots.
and it's interesting to know that the Bridges logo is like a web spanning across America, or what we think is America. Right, now this is the first real glimpse of the
radial menu.
Yeah, that's what you would call it. I think there's two things here. I think this is a menu here, and then there's like sub-menus coming off of this in the form of 5 sub-menus here.
And just while we're on this, we can see it seems to be branded the satanic function.
Yes,
or sonic function. It looks like satanic to me, which is a strange name to give a
I don't know
system,
on that. But it notices effect. It's like he's going into a sub-menu of effect here, which maybe comes from here.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, that seems to.
So he's opened the radio menu and he's gone a certain way to get to this menu,
which sprouts another menu system in itself. And here we go. We see.
It's really weird. This almost, it spins round. So if you watch this, it opens and it spins round to reveal everything. You see that?
Yeah, it's quick, but yeah.
You can see it more if you do it frame by frame. So look, you see him spinning round.
Yeah, spinning round. And then it
And then it's
populates.
revealed them all, basically.
So just to have a crunch through, Rich, what have we got?
So we've got the this is
Anchor.
Yeah, anchor basically with a rope coming off it, which we've seen that you can like anchor in the ground,
And
which
repel
we'll
from.
see in a moment. Ladder, which he's going to use here in a moment. This is obviously your weapon. This is, I think, to equip nothing. This is the one we're not sure on. I think this might be just a rope, like a loop of rope. So when you can't use this anchor because the terrain's too soft or too hard even, you can wrap this round, you know, a rock or something to...
Yeah, like a noose.
That's what it looks like, isn't it? And you can see there's a little rope coming off it here.
Could it also be something you could use almost like a grappling hook?
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Possibly, but
Yeah.
you haven't got much to get onto. This is something interesting, Rich. Number one.
That's interesting.
So that suggests that these are consumable.
Yes, that's it. So you put this down, but it's done. You can't pick it back up again.
I can't believe that'll be a level, because we've seen another thing later on in the trailer, or in another trailer, the Japanese version with the level 2 hand.
Yeah, and it specifically says level 2, doesn't it? So
I think it must be an amount of this item.
that's it, yeah.
Whether you can, well, we think you'd be able to pick them back up because it's a ladder, it's reusable, but,
Yeah,
do they degrade?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced you can pick these back up now. I've seen this one.
Yeah.
Because what would it matter?
Which again could be something about this asynchronous gameplay design. If you do leave them behind, is it left behind for
for other people? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we see on Everest, they have those ladders across the crevasses,
Yeah.
and they just use them all the time.
Yeah.
They're just left there for people to use.
Yeah.
Similar kind of scenario. But here we're going to see him use the ladder, and there's a equip or drop cargo. And what does this say here, Tabs?
So a portable ladder that folds out to a length of 10 metres. It can be used to climb slopes and cross rivers. Hold L2 to put the ladder on standby and R2 to place it in position.
And then we're going to just see him do this. So he obviously gets this out, and it like extends out basically, doesn't it? And then it drops down. Now I think this is really interesting. How is this going to work? Is this a ladder? Is there a specific area where he can use the ladder here?
Is it context sensitive?
Yeah.
Surely it has to.
Or could you put the ladder here and maybe it's going to fall off and then be like doing nothing here and you can pick it up again? I think there's some context sensitivity here.
I think it has to be, because as complex and as great as the system and physics look, you can just imagine the sort of glitch, the glitch, level glitches in there if you could literally put it anywhere.
Yeah.
And it would be falling around, glitching into things.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be too hard to implement.
Yeah.
Especially with this type of environment where it is all angular and rough and potentially
It's hostile.
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes sense, because from a gameplay dynamic, although we can see this, and Breath of the Wild would lead you to believe you can go anywhere, climb over anything, I think in this world it is, as you point out, a bit more linear.
Yes.
A bit more closed.
Yeah.
And in fact, there's very specific routes.
Yeah.
And there's probably different ways to get through areas.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
There's choice.
Yeah.
Some that have different consequences than others.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
But I think there is, like you say, a specific context-sensitive spot. Maybe it's this rock here. That it seems to be almost leaning.
Yeah. It's interesting as well to know that it says fold ladder, so that does suggest that you could fold that up and put it back in your backpack.
Yeah.
So I think you'll find here he grabs the ladder with the square, and then he's away.
Another radio.
So obviously, we'll just quickly go back to that. He just walks up the ladder. Cool, really cool physics on here. Really cool motion, I think.
The boots dangling around.
Yeah, I think it looks amazing. The way they've modelled the characters and stuff is brilliant. But then we've just touched on it, that he uses this climbing anchor basically.
With another number, interestingly as well.
Yes, and you can see the ladder, you can see that. There's an extra thing here that we haven't seen before.
Which, I think looks a bit like a flash grenade or something along those lines.
Yeah. And then there's another thing here. What is that?
I don't know at all, to be honest. Is it a light? Could it be a flashlight?
Interesting why we've leant forward here. What is this over here?
Yeah.
This looks like a giant Carll Sensor.
Yeah, it's definitely in
With
that
these-
shape, isn't it?
What look like dome structures here?
Which are like radar domes, which are used to detect weather. So
Crazy.
we think that
Yeah, so
potentially...
is this detecting light? What do you call it?
Timefall.
Timefall.
Yeah.
I can't get my words then.
So maybe, we see another strand up
Yeah,
here
and
as
interesting,
well.
there's a strand right beside it. That's really interesting.
So is that the equivalent of like an early storm detection system?
Yeah, maybe.
We have for tornadoes and weather conditions, but that's for this particular time frame.
Is this where Sam's currently trying to get to?
Yeah, could well be.
That's what's going on here?
And is there a settlement that's protecting?
Yeah, I don't know,
this could
because
be
that
one of
looks
the
like
cities.
a fair structure, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does look massive. So again, and also kind of cements the kind of motif, the theme that the Carll sensors are just protectors generally, aren't they?
Yeah. Or early warning systems, I guess. In some ways.
Yeah.
It's also interesting to note on all of the landscapes we've seen, there aren't any roads. There aren't any beaten paths. We're not seeing somewhere where there's traffic flow.
No, because
So
I suppose it is a post-apocalyptic world, and the infrastructure's just not there, is it? We're in this very early stage of rebuilding after this calamity.
Yeah, true.
And maybe also as well, that also tells you that only certain people can go out and,
Experience. Yeah.
Because maybe some of the unique abilities that Sam has and other characters have, there's only a handful of people who can operate in the world.
Yeah. But getting back onto the point, we see him use this climbing anchor here. Again, it looks like L2 to put it on standby, R2 to put it in position. He looks like he has a maximum rope length of 30 meters. Let's just watch this play out. And this is our first real look at graphics. Interesting to note, and we'll come on to this a bit more, another one of these yellow-looking sensor arrays. We will literally come to this in a moment.
Oh yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
And this mound,
which we've seen a few times, as if this is like a
resource of some
kind. There's something to do with that. We see it often.
If it was gold, I'd be shouting at the top of my lungs because there's a theme there, but it's not gold.
No.
But it does look like he's almost heading towards that specifically.
Yes, because we don't know whether he repels down this way
to get back up.
Or does it? I think it looks like it comes this way with it. And then he comes down here.
But I think this gap is, I think it's over here, that orange thing. So
Okay.
he's crossing the gap.
Yeah, you think he's gone, I see.
I don't know.
Really cool. Really, really cool the way they've implemented this. It looks like uber realistic.
Yeah, that kind of deformation as he touches different parts of
the way the rope's being
rocks.
interacted with. And it looks like at some point you can just drop the rope and you're down. That's interesting. How do you get this back? Is this literally just used to get down here, get something, and then
one
you go
use
back?
only?
Yeah. Because I don't see
commit to that.
Yeah.
route.
I don't know how you get this back.
Which makes sense because if you needed to retrace your steps, well, it's all still there.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely, yeah.
Maybe.
It's all.
Right, and then we're into what will obviously be a cutscene from the game.
Mm-hmm.
He loves his cutscenes.
So fragile, we know this character as. What do we know? I mean, we can come back to it, but we feel that she might be a second playable character.
Yeah, I don't see why we're seeing a cutscene with her in it and Sam's not here. Why would there be a cutscene about that? It doesn't happen very often.
And
Because
we've
it means
also,
you've zipped away to some other part of the world away from Sam to have a cutscene.
and she has a lot of parallels to Sam.
Yeah.
She seems to do a very similar currying job, but for a different company
Yeah.
known as Fragile.
Fragile Express, we think.
Yeah, Fragile Express, handled with love. Was
Yes.
the tagline,
Yeah.
and these two skeleton hands.
Yeah, that's it.
So does she do something a bit different? Whereas Sam's is more altruistic, reconnecting the world. Is hers more, a commercial business in this new world? Do they transport precious things? Even bridge babies we've
Potentially,
touched upon.
Yeah.
And do you want to point us out with this?
Well, she's
trinket
wearing
got
this
on?
bracelet which has this gold material on, which seems to have some significance. I think we've seen Sam. Well, I think you see it later on in this trailer, but you see that Sam wears some of this gold material as well.
And I think it's often associated with the Homo Demons and Edge Knot City, which we know is there where they reside.
I wonder whether the gold material is in some way it anchors them in the world almost.
Yeah, it's got a power.
Yeah.
I think there's a power there, isn't
Yeah.
there? As we'll come on to, but also to point out, and this is just to set some more context down. In the Japanese trailer, there's an interesting scene where these golden chiral hands grow out of the ground.
Yeah, we don't understand that at all, do we?
No, but there's a connection there, isn't it? Again, to the chiral.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
To safeguard the continued independence of Edge Knot City. They want the UCA to leave him be.
cool looking grunt here.
Very Killzone.
Yeah, actually, yeah. And again, gold motifs all over it.
Yeah.
On the hands, cool looking gun.
Is the gold a symbol of status as well as being, having a power in this new world?
Yeah, maybe.
But just to kind of double down on the fact, it's literally being told to us here, these homo demons, the inhabitants of Edge Knot City, they're this kind of city of outlaws. They're happy with their place in the world.
Yeah.
And they just want to protect their freedom, their independence. They're not interested in, reconnecting.
Yeah, and they're happy to keep their freedom by screwing everybody else over and knocking them down almost.
Yeah,
Who are
exactly.
these assholes again? Homo demons.
Homo demons.
So I suppose as well, I would just like to I've talked about my little geopolitical bit at the start, but you're almost got these homo demons which are like the political enemies, whereas Mads is like this elemental enemy. So you've got kind of these different levels of villainry in the game. So it's going to be interesting how they both interplay together.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Militant separatist group.
And we see him obviously using this gold that he's got that gives him power to summon what we think will be Timefall. The Timefall storm,
So it
basically.
shoots the flare up,
Towns killing people,
starts
And
to
then-
rain.
Yeah, which is obviously Timefall.
leaving craters.
Again, we see him in the mask.
Right.
He has the gold on his hand as well.
Yeah, so that was linked directly to the
Yeah,
flare
which,
shooter.
like I say, I think this, in some way, the gold material, which I don't think is gold. I think there's something about it.
Although gold is it a good conductor? So is there something there?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
Conducting power somehow?
But you can get gold titanium, so
Yeah, it just could look gold.
yeah,
but
it's
it
not
isn't
necessarily gold.
Nothing's off limits.
Could be a completely new element. I
Not
suppose.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Engineering void outs. There are extremists like the demons everywhere.
So again, we've seen the physics ability there of this chap. He
Yeah,
can teleport.
Yeah, which
short
is
distances.
insane. I mean, hopefully we don't have to fight this bloke, because how we're going to fight someone that can teleport wherever he
I
likes.
know, yeah, it's going to be rough.
I mean, this is a bit rough, isn't it? This chap licks Fragile's face.
Which is worth noting actually because, well, we know that he's summoned in this Timefall.
Yeah.
We know from previous trailers that Fragile actually shares a similar ability with Sam in what is known as this chiral allergy, which essentially gives them some, it's their own system to detect chiral energy
basically.
in the normal realm.
Yeah, yeah.
We believe Fragile's is different, but we know for a lot of the characters, chiral allergy actually manifests in these tears that can come out of your eyes, and we think this is what this chap's licking. Almost I've created this, with my power, and he's
It's
just
weird.
rubbing that in on it.
Plotting in the shadows.
She looks thoroughly displeased with the fact he licked her face.
As you would be.
I mean, look.
That's a look to discuss.
Who's who resist the future? Right, now this is really interesting piece. So there's this scan that's just come across the land.
Yes.
This orange scan. And it has... So he stops here, which is really interesting. I think this has been done purposefully here.
And I think this is a really good... Again, we talked about this duality, almost a dichotomy between blue and orange lights.
Yeah.
So again, orange seems to be anything outside of Norman. Blue tends to be, Norman's caused it. So this tells us that this is nothing to do with Norman. This is something that's detected Norman.
Yes.
Almost, an external.
But I think this gameplay clip here has been done purposefully, because if you notice, when he's moving along, this scan doesn't detect it. I think this has been done deliberately to show what happens and to get into this fight with the other fraction.
Yeah, so if you stop for a second.
If he stops for like what, and then all of a sudden they've detected the backpack.
Yeah.
And then that's what they're after. They're obviously not interested in Sam at all. They're interested in whatever this cargo is.
Some resource that's valuable or currency in that world.
Or is this some sort of equipment that he's using to reconnect the worlds?
Yeah.
Is this what or reconnect the areas or whatever? But I think this was purposely done to show this scenario. I don't.
And you mentioned earlier, didn't you, that there was a yellowy glint in the background, and I think you'll...
Yes, yeah. Sorry, So here you can see yellow glint, and I think is there another one here somewhere? As if this is some sort of
It's like triangulating
sensory array. Yes.
the array that's detected
Exactly.
sounds like a trap.
So this is like a mechanic in the game that you will have to deal with, basically.
Yeah. And maybe, once we've learnt this, as we have in this situation, we don't ever cross between this triangulated area.
Yeah, it's
Again.
obvious that you'll have to.
Yeah, they'll force you down.
Exactly,
that,
yeah. But now, all of a sudden, we have these bandits arrive.
Pretty high-tech looking bandits, to be fair.
Yes.
They don't look like Edge
No.
Knot City inhabitants, Homo Demon stuff.
Not at all. This looks like almost like a
Bridges,
like in
another version.
yeah, I guess so. And it's really interesting to note that they sense him here, and it's almost a nod to an MGS alert here.
Yes.
The very first noise you hear, I think, sounds like an alert.
And it serves the same purpose, doesn't it?
Yes.
They've noticed you.
Yeah.
And I think that is a nice little
It's a nod, isn't it?
deferential nod to
Let's just
Gina's
let's just
history.
hear that out. You hear that?
Yeah.
It does sound like it, doesn't it? And then they've spotted him now, and they're onto him. And notice they have these Carll Sensors that we've seen Sam using. He's not got his on now, I don't think. But we see them with their Carll Sensors, and they've turned red as if they've detected Sam.
And that's interesting because previously we thought it's just chiral sensors, but they perform other jobs.
Yeah.
They're detecting people. in this scenario.
Maybe you can use them to detect other things.
It's very versatile, yeah. You've got some pylons there, Rich, which we could probably just mention a thing or two about.
Maybe this is part of the connecting things that he has to do.
Yeah, I mean, this could just be because we'll see in a second. I think we see the hazmat guys'
We're at
base.
some sort of base, aren't we? Yeah.
So this could just be an extension of them, but we clearly know there's some sort of infrastructure going on in this world. So perhaps it's a hint towards the technology used generally.
Yeah. And then we see these coming after him, and they're throwing these almost like electrified javelins at him now. And there's a really cool piece coming up now where they obviously, you see that? They knocked that piece of cargo out of his backpack.
And again, to point out, non-lethal weaponry.
Yes.
We know that there's been things in blurbs said that there is very much heavy consequences attached to killing and killing people in this game. And clearly that's not just for Sam. These guys don't appear to want to kill Sam either. They'd rather just steal his cargo and
that's it.
probably let him crack on.
They obviously want whatever he's got, don't they?
Because again, when you kill someone, do they go to this death dimension, the hell dimension, and does that make your life more difficult?
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen in previous games, such as MGS5, Kojima likes to move away from the killing elements of the game. In MGS5, if you killed loads of people, this horn would grow out of your head.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. I was thinking more of Metal Gear Solid 3 with the Sorrow. Is it Sorrow Battle?
Oh, yes. Yeah, of course, that as well.
And as you walk down the river, you see all of the dead soldiers.
Yeah.
And if you didn't kill people, you wouldn't have that.
Yeah.
So he likes to play with that element of consequence.
Definitely.
And this is elaborating on that.
But also, he's making games where he wants to err more on the side of stealth type. And not obviously with the MGS, maybe not on this, but he's certainly shied away from the whole killing thing, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's offering a more nuanced look that isn't all about let's just go all guns blazing.
Yeah,
and it's a moral kind of quandary there, isn't it? As well?
Definitely. And just to know, they knocked that cargo out of his backpack.
Dodge.
Yeah, that's definitely a dodging move here. It's not on screen, but I think there must be some sort of QTE here.
It sort of reminds me of like a FIFA or a Pro Evo.
Yeah.
That little extra animation certain players get.
And if you notice, he's like stumped by this. So then it allows Sam to run again, and if you notice here, he picks that piece of cargo that he dropped up and banged it back into his cargo, which is really interesting.
Result.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's obviously needs whatever that is. And now this is really interesting. He is now into combat with them. So he's showing off the close quarter combat of the system, basically.
I think also, as you point out, Rich, there's this very interesting emergent dynamic here that these are very risk and reward scenarios. If you go out of your way looking for these combat situations, well, you could batter them all and end up with a load more cargo, which seemingly is what you want.
Yeah.
Equally, though, you could end up empty-handed.
Yes.
So it's a very risk-reward based
That's it.
payoff.
Again, we see more of this like red
ore,
rock
almost.
or yes,
Yeah,
which is
might be
strange.
like Tiberium.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I like that. And with the vehicle in the background, play this on, because what we'll see here is close quarter combat. Here, just see that he knocks the backpack off this chap.
And there's this blue, there's this kind of blue light that hits everything. It's almost to signal this is interactable.
Yeah,
this
which
is
like this rock in the background you're referring to, and then obviously this has gone purple.
The rock's another thing. I really don't understand why the rock lights up at all.
But is it that things you can interact with as an event, they come up like this? Like, can you do something with this? It's a real shame that we can't see this ore pile that's here, because if that lit up as well, then I would be categorically that's
true.
Obviously, that's not on here, because at this point we've moved in. So just to say, as he drops the backpack here, he picks it up
almost in the air.
Yeah, which is brilliant. So that's obviously there's a button press there to catch it, and then he starts battering this bloke with it.
How resourceful, yeah. Handbags at dawn.
Yeah,
with the next bloke.
And knocks his backpack off. And knocks him out, to be fair.
It's interesting, we don't get to see, can Sam then pick up 2 briefcases?
Yeah, that's it.
You know.
Interesting to know that this backpack is now purple, but this in the background is not showing that blue hue at all.
Yeah, so
if that is the thing where you can interact with it, then that's not a scenario.
Interesting.
And we'll see the bike here. And this is what you're referring to, weren't you, Tabs? This
the
settlement,
base, this kind of...
which these like, I don't know, they almost look like mobile phone masts to me.
Yeah, one of them looks like a mains mast, and one of them looks more like a signal
exactly.
mast. So there's some decent infrastructure in certain places going on.
Yeah, definitely. This is obviously some sort of base,
And maybe, obviously we're hostile with these guys at the minute, but maybe at some point this is Sam's job to parlay with these
potentially
these settlements, bring them back on side.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So there's a little chase sequence here, and we referenced earlier that he did a wheelie, and you'll notice the wheels here. The wheels tuck in here.
Close up.
Yeah, as if there's something going on here. Whether this is like to make it into like a sports mode where you can go faster.
Because you've got to get out and get away from them. And I liken it to the old X-Wing in Star Wars, when it's separated to slow down in more of a combat mode, and then it locks up.
Yeah, to go
to
faster.
speed up.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. But we cut away from that anyway to this scene. So these guys obviously stop here. There's Timefall coming.
Much more covered up.
And a different type of Carll Sensor as well.
Yeah.
Whether this
is
is
simpler in design, but also...
Does that mean this is a more technologically advanced version, maybe?
Perhaps. They certainly look kitted out, don't they?
Yes.
No doubt.
No bridge babies, though. It's as if they have a different mechanic for this.
Yeah. But interestingly, these guys are obviously on the same footing as Sam.
Yes.
Because they're scared of Timefall.
Yeah.
They're not the Homo Demons. These are perhaps these kind of third-party operations similar to bridges.
Yeah.
Which there may be multiples of.
Yeah, of course.
And
then they do one.
To mess with BTs.
I can't spot BTs.
I can't spot BTs. BTs tabs. What does it stand for?
Beach Things.
Yes.
The blurb that PlayStation put out, I think, confirmed it's Beach Things.
Yeah.
Also the equivalent of just these chiral entities.
Yes.
We think.
Yeah.
And
it's basically things that have been beached in the like real world from the hell dimension, isn't it? In essence.
Yeah, I mean, it's any sort of merging of these entities into the real world.
Yeah.
But they exist and they're still BTs, I suppose, in the death dimension. There will be BTs. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't know then.
Is it just a name of the phenomena when they do infect the normal world? Or it's hard to say. But what's really important is that Sam, he's got this chiral allergy, which we've already touched upon.
And he says here, I can't see them, but I can sense them.
Yeah, so he has an allergic reaction, essentially. And what we do know is the baby is what actually helps him to see them.
Yes.
So as soon as he can sense them, he then can turn on his bridge baby, which will reveal them to us. I did just want to point out from a previous trailer, Sam, we don't know the level of this chiral allergy.
No.
But in a previous trailer, I think Fragile asks him, and he says a phrase along the lines of, "I've got the extinction factor."
Yeah, as if it's killing him.
Or the opposite, I was thinking, was more along the lines of like a factor 50 sunscreen, and the extinction factor means maybe, I don't know, maybe it means that he's immune totally, you know, to being killed or...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it will make sense with the main protagonist. We've got these kind of superhuman abilities. But equally, it could mean that it is killing him. It could mean that it's a terminal illness, you know, who knows.
That's why we came prepared.
That's why we came prepared. I think that suggests they're maybe in a different world. I don't know. I think it's weird. You think this is basically means that they've got stuff to deal with this, basically.
I think it could be just the start of the mission. This is a cutscene, and this is perhaps the first time we're being introduced to the concept of a bridge baby.
Yeah.
Along those lines.
Bridge baby, huh? Makes me feel like shit every time.
And we see him basically jacking in here.
What do you think about that? It makes you feel like shit every time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get this umbilical cord he's got coming here. Where does it go to? Why does it go
under your clothing?
Yeah,
and
to him.
Into his tummy where that scar
is?
Maybe.
Or maybe.
A direct link to his umbilical.
Yeah, maybe.
But I think it's interesting that the fact that they say it makes you feel bad. So is that because you are bridging into this chiral hell dimension and all of that negative energy somehow affects you emotionally? Is it just because they're mentioning the fact that it's weird you've got a little baby and you're using it as a resource?
But I think it's fairly obvious that these aren't natural babies, are they? They're engineered in some way.
They don't look, they almost, I've said to you, they almost look old to me. Like, you know, there are people who have been affected by this time and made young.
Yes.
They just don't look like normal
there's
babies.
Something weird, isn't there?
And I think they need to explain that in such a way because it is a bit of a moral.
Yeah, they're using babies. It's weird, isn't it?
It seems very morally wrong. But I'm sure we'll have some explanation to come.
Freaks me out too.
Yeah, again, that is just not an innocent baby look to me. That's more like I know what's going on.
Yeah,
there's an intelligence there, isn't there? But who knows?
And here we go. We're into one of the best scenes of this trailer for me.
Yeah, and also one of the better theories we've come out with.
Yeah, definitely.
Rich
with this.
Rich put this one forward.
This whole Minesweeper thing. So we can see here, the Carll Sensor starts spinning and obviously reveals that he's in an area where there is this chiral energy.
Now I would say this is the normal dimension. This is a pathway in the normal dimension. He's trying to traverse an area, and I think this will probably be a frequent issue in the game. You'll come across these kind of heavily populated areas of chiral phenomena that you just can't get past, or can you?
Well, I think this plays out as if these are like invisible walls that you can't pass through, that create a maze, an invisible maze that you have to sort of work your way through without touching not only the bodies, but also they're like, well, almost like umbilical cords. We see them here.
Which is why we compared it to Minesweeper, or even better actually, you might think of one of those games with the wires, where you're trying to trace the wire along without touching it.
But you can see that, whereas this I don't think you can see. But I wonder whether this is moving as well.
I do wonder though, if you were so careful, you take so much time and you're really observant of your chiral sensor and how it's reacting, you may be able to get through unscathed, but I think it's very difficult to do that.
We did see that in a previous trailer where he was like, I've got the baby, I can use it. And then you see him he's like stopping when it's like flashing, and then when it's spinning he stops, but he does get got in that trailer. But again, is that because they want him to get got? They want to show that mechanic?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of that going on, isn't there?
I mean, if you fast forward a bit, and we'll kind of double down on what your theory is, because I just love it. I'm excited by it.
So he gets closer here, and it's almost like the game changes. Everything moves around. But if you notice here, he's tracking his footprints. So he's clearly tracking his movement through this area. Now, what's he doing that for, Sam?
Well, so we think there's this asynchronous gameplay dynamic. You know, it may not be of much use now, so because we'll ultimately see him get snapped up.
Yeah, but I think they're showing this.
Yeah, exactly, to demonstrate.
And I'll show that in a minute.
But what Rich's theory is that you'll be match made, if you like, with a series of other players in the game, and over a period of time and trial and error, as each gamer tries to find the right path and leaves these traces of footprints behind, it eventually creates this picture, this safe route through it. So, you know, like you might have a go, path. You get so far, but then you get got. I go and play on it. I see your footprints. I follow them, but only to a point. And then I take another direction, which gets me a bit further. And slowly over time, it's this kind of cooperative progression.
Exactly.
Which I just think is a great idea.
Yeah. And I think, because Kojima has said this game will be better played together.
Yeah.
And it's obviously a single player game from what we've seen, although there could be co-op play, offline co-op play.
And these just might unlock optional areas. This might not be what you need to do to progress the story, but it might give you access to a much better resource or a much better piece of equipment.
I also wonder whether there's a quality of life thing here. If every time, because it's already been established you can't die. If that is the case and you can't die and you have to keep coming back to this area all the time to get back, if you keep dying, to get back to. Is this scenario where you can get this like almost beaten path that can speed you through an area? Is that a quality of life feature that means that although there is this rubbish thing where you have to go back to this death zone all the time and escape it, once you have this playthrough, you can move through it quite quickly?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You know, right? Like a simplifier.
Like a roguelike game where you've then mastered that area.
Yes.
And it's forevermore, it's a nice straight through experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
But we'll notice here, if I just play this on, he tries to go through one of these like invisible walls by this almost like umbilical cord that we see here, and then all hell breaks loose. The bridge baby has changed as if to show that we're in danger all of a sudden. It's gone from blue to orange. He's now running away. We have these like, orange handprints.
Yeah. Chiral.
And then he's been got. Whatever chiral energy it's got him, and that's it. He's in.
And it is a perfect elaboration on the Dark Souls-esque Bloodborne asynchronous gameplay mechanic, but it just takes it a step further, which is just
It's interesting to know that his handcuff is still showing blue here, even though he's being got. As if that is health, he's not taking damage here.
I hear you, and we can't show it in this, but the Japanese trailer where he has this octopus fight, like a sub-boss, I'm sure there is a bit where he gets totally nailed by it, and it goes red or orange.
Right, okay.
So I do still think that theory could hold.
Okay. And then it's dragged down.
First person.
Yeah, very strange. It's just being dragged around at this point. And then you see this almost Dementor-like.
Yeah, it is like a hooded figure. Is this one of the Four Horsemen? Mads' Four Horsemen?
Yeah, maybe.
Is this just the start of what is going to be another chiral monster that
maybe
the normal will have to tackle in a boss fight now?
But we don't know whether this. The peak, because there's the extra bit in the Japanese trailer, and I urge people that are interested in this game to go and see that. Is this that boss coming down? Is this the same area?
This could be the octopus boss splashing in.
I know this looks like it's not that, but does this then become the octopus?
Yeah, because it seems this oily substance they can change and metamorphose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
into other things.
Yeah. And then we're into this. This is the oddest piece of the trailer, I think. I can't work this out. We're in this first-person thing.
Yeah, we think we've been signalled we're in the death dimension. Hades on there. But yeah, as you point out, who are we? What are we at this point?
And we see this like appearance when things are red, which we think that's by the Mads character, don't we?
Yeah.
It seems to be that's how it always is when that happens.
Metaphorically as well, this death dimension, hell dimension, seems to be like a culmination of death, all of human atrocity and loss.
And this is a World War I tank, I believe.
Yeah.
Those who cannot break the connection. Now, is that what's wrong with Mads? Is he always on, connected to the chiral dimension.
Yeah, I think he's totally
and
consumed.
I think
by it.
that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, just look at that. It's interesting. You see the scarring on him lit up there,
Yeah,
glowing.
yeah.
I mean, just not to scour too much over old ground, but based on what we're saying in this World War One setting, whether the World War One thing has a big significance to do with the timing of when the world went wrong or Mad's initial experiments, or whether it is just, as I say, a symbol of war. And therefore, could we see other settings of war?
Yeah, because that's a really good point, because we don't know whether this is a game that is like the past is exactly as it is for us now. Apologies if the camera just shook. My dog decided to just walk past it. We don't know whether this is based on a past that's the same as ours, and then an event that creates this post-apocalyptic world, or whether actually the whole of time
is an alternative.
It's a completely alternative.
History.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so we don't know whether this World War One. The only thing I don't understand is the technology is skewed here.
Because he's got modern tech.
Yeah, we see this person in the first person view, which has got modern tech, but then we see these old. So I don't know whether this is a memory, whether we've been transported back in time in some way. I don't know.
See, and this is where Kojima could be playing fast and loose with his logic, because he just likes things to look cool.
Yes.
And if we look too far into these things, well, we might be looking for nothing, because it's just all red herring territory.
Yeah, exactly. And we see Sam, no cargo actually this time.
Yeah, he's travelling light, isn't he?
Is he going to pick cargo up? Is he gone to the past to pick up some cargo up?
Yeah, and again, when we have seen him being sucked into the death dimension, he seems to be stripped of everything, doesn't he?
Yes.
Whereas here, he's got his full outfit on, so this almost kind of makes you then think, well, maybe this isn't the death dimension.
Yeah.
Maybe this is another area where time just acts differently. It's very strange.
Still no kit on his back. Still no kit on his back. And here we see our first bit of proper combat, confirmed combat in this game. This is the first time I've ever seen this.
In a trench.
Which looks like maybe you could take cover in some of these areas. This is obviously an enemy. Very, very minimal head-up display. Very minimal.
Yeah,
just showing
which is nice.
Type of rifle you've got, which is an assault rifle, and just your ammo. I love the fact that this has a minimal head-up display. I love that.
Yeah, really nice.
Me and you both played Breath of the Wild with most of the head-up display stripped out because it just gave you a better play experience.
Connection with the game.
Exactly, yes. One of our friends who's recently gone back to play that sees our gameplay and can't understand it. Doesn't
how we've managed
it. Yeah. So I really, really like this.
You know what? The more we see it, there is quite a few connections perhaps to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Maybe Kojima's played that game and thought, you know what?
This is brilliant.
Yeah, let's put some elements in.
Yeah. Those who struggle to stay connected.
So I think that's a reference, struggle to stay connected to the normal dimension.
Oh, I see what you're
he's
saying.
Totally consumed by this hell dimension and the power he's got in it. And also on a path of vengeance, because we saw how connected he was to his bridge baby, almost emotionally.
Yeah.
And this seems to be symbolic, this kind of horrible doll.
But they move. They don't, they?
Yeah, because he can manipulate things. But I think this is symbolic of his baby. That he's probably lost in some way.
Yeah.
And he's become irreparably damaged.
Yes.
Because of that.
Yeah. And then we see this odd thing where something is manipulating Sam. He's being sucked up somewhere. Although, to be fair, we have seen this in another trailer where another character got sucked up.
Yeah, the old boy.
Yeah.
And he starts stabbing himself.
Yeah, he tries to kill himself, doesn't he? Which he doesn't seem to manage to do. But I wonder whether this is another one of those phenomenals.
Is this a timefall storm?
Yeah.
Is this
or a
the
void
eye
out.
of a time, or a void out, or another
I think
one of the
it was a void out that happened before, wasn't it?
Yeah.
On that trailer.
So a void out, just to kind of very quickly catch people up, we feel that is when these BTs come through, and when there's an explosion of some kind.
Yeah, is that them then returning to their realm? And they leave this massive
crater in it. So it literally leaves a permanent scar in the normal dimension whenever that takes place.
Yeah, basically. We have these like crab-like things. You see that? It's very strange.
Crustacean.
Yeah, I don't get that.
There's a lot of them actually. If you look, these all look like crabs.
But we don't know. We could be right by the sea here. This maybe the crabs are one of the things that survive in this world.
Well, this is it. If it is a storm, though, storms in the past have been known to somehow take fish up, haven't they? And rain fish down.
That's true. Yeah.
So if it's that aggressive,
yeah.
it's somehow,
you're quite right.
evaporated all of the seed for life.
And then we see this character. This almost, for me, feels like almost like the Q character.
Yeah,
if we reference James Bond here,
or like a Simon Pegg in Mission Impossible.
Yes, exactly. Like the tech wizard. And if you notice here, I think he's using his handcuff here to access some sort of information.
Yeah, again, which then puts the spotlight back on, is it just a health indicator, or does it have, again, multi-uses?
Yeah,
much
like it looks like he's using his hand here to manipulate...
It's projecting some,
stats and
holo
stuff.
array, isn't
yeah.
it?
Maybe linked to this almost what looks like health data in the background.
Yeah, brain functioning.
And then he has this on here, which is lit up, which is...
Maybe just a battery?
Yeah, but then again, wires coming out, but these wires could be linked to these computers behind him, I guess.
Could be.
Right, here we go. We're in it here. Look, he's removed his dog tags here, and we'll come back to that in a moment.
Is he about to use one of them in
He's about to use
a
these
fight or
runes. So this is what I was referring to earlier. This is the necklace that we see around his
Dreamcatcher style necklace.
But if I just zoom this on, this has a piece of that gold material in the middle of it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right, actually, yeah, that does look
so
like
that means every person...
Bit spider-webby as well.
Yeah, but that means every person we've seen that's in this world has a piece of this gold material on them.
That kind of suggests they're each carrying this sort of trinket talisman, which is almost... Does it have protective qualities? Does it
ground them in this world?
Perhaps.
I don't know.
This certainly looks like some sort of descent into this other world.
Yeah, because this looks like... the top of water here, maybe.
He's naked again, like the first ever trailer we saw him in. He's greyed out, which is just like...
Yeah, we don't get the greyed out thing, do we?
And he's falling.
Covered in handprints. Absolutely covered in handprints.
So he's been here multiple times.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very interesting.
Now this is interesting. We see this body here.
Yes.
And we have this thing here. Now, if earlier on in the trailer, right near the start, we saw... Is it Bridget?
Well, this is it. We know her as Amelie in the younger form, but as Bridget seemingly when she was old. This is the former president of the USA, now UCA, and also Sam's mother-in-law, we think.
We think, yeah. And she had this pink headscarf on, didn't she?
Mm.
We think maybe this is suggesting that this is this person, maybe?
Perhaps that's Bridget. She's died here. And then this also suggests, though, so Sam with, is it Dead Man? And then this guy is that Die Hartman?
Yes. It's really interesting to note in the background, this vehicle here.
Is that Bridges Tech?
But this vehicle looks like the vehicles we saw those yellow guys dropping off.
Mm.
Well, as if either he's now in with them, I don't know.
But he's still got a Bridges badge on.
Yeah.
But this looks like they're quite friendly, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
They're kind of mourning over the loss of their... So the Die Hartman and Dead Man are on the same team with Sam, maybe?
I don't know. Or certainly at this point.
Mm.
This is interesting. I don't get this at all.
I start to lose my thread at this point in the trailer. So this is Mama.
Mama, yeah. And there's obviously some sort of energy here, and we don't understand what it is. But unlike the other chiral energy we've seen, this is a clear. This has not got like a dark colour to it. It's a clear.
It almost looks like a pure, like somebody who's, not innately evil.
So if we looked at the world as like a good, an indifferent, so that's the current world, and an evil world, the hell dimension, is it possible that these bridge babies come from this good place? Mm-hmm. And then, because if you notice, if I zip this on a little bit,
maybe there is a third dimension then that we're not considering.
Yeah, that's like a good dimension.
And more of a neutral, more of a...
Yeah, and if we notice, she's like almost trying to...
Signal.
To say, I'm here. And then we cut to a young looking character.
Who we understand is Amelie in this form.
But we don't get the... I are completely lost at this point. Why is the
this
character...
Sam as well? She's cooking?
Why does this character appear young and old? It's very strange. I think this is Sam. And then we see a body being burned, which we assume is the same body we've just seen. Why are they burning bodies? I mean, people get cremated all the time, but seems like
is there a purpose for it?
It seems like there's some significance in the fact that they're doing it. And we have seen dead bodies come back to life with the gold. They put a gold mask on that body before, and something happened. It almost like took it into the hell dimension.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, there was a trailer, and the character was there, and then I think he didn't have a gold mask put on him or something, and then it sort of like sunk into the darkness.
Interesting.
And then look, this is a baby.
The umbilical cord.
Yeah.
And do we think this is Mama again?
Yes, this is Mama here, because we cut to this where she's obviously being crushed in some way. Amazing facial expressions again. The facial expressions in the game are insane.
Was that a continuation of the last shot though? Because that's the problem. It kind of does look like
it does look like it, but we don't know, do we?
So she's reaching out for this baby in agony, seemingly being crushed. I mean, it's just there's no context.
No,
it's too hard to guess what's going on there. But yeah, great facial animation.
And now here we see these once again, the dog tags. These we can clearly see now that these have equations on them, and some of these equations are obviously here listed and stuff.
Says control panel in the background.
Says control panel, and it's fairly obvious there are 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. What almost look like USB slots, don't they? And then these almost look like
6.
USB sticks.
And there's 6 of them, so yeah, could this be to control something you need to get all 8?
Are these keys to different dimensions? Maybe?
My theory would be that this is where Sam can upgrade his physics tool abilities, his runes, by plugging them in and then upgrading them.
Yeah. Or downloading, I guess.
Yeah.
Could it be downloading new ones? Yeah. Interesting to note as well that this is obviously some sort of mechanic going on here, because more equations are popping up,
yeah. Very pretty.
And then we switch to this clip of a baby,
which Sam is manipulating again.
And if we notice, it says bridge baby recovery system, so it's fairly obvious that the babies have to be charged basically.
And we can see a fluctuating percentage there.
Yeah, as if this baby is basically 100% charged in some way.
So he's ready to go out on another mission with you, perhaps.
Exactly.
I mean, whether that does give us more reason to believe that there's going to be a time mechanic, isn't there? 2 missions. Because if you run out of juice in Bridge Baby, well, you're kind of high and dry. So you're having to go home, recharge before you can go out again.
Bridges, what does it say? Bridges what? Motor?
Medical.
And then it says Bridges baby recovery.
That looks like Blidge's medical. Blidge. Something recovery system, baby recovery system.
Well, why would it be Blidge?
I don't know. Is that just a typo?
No. No way.
Why Blidge and not Bridge? We'll think about that one off camera. Yeah. Maybe we'll return with another thing.
And here we go. This is what I was saying. So this character is called Mama, and it looks like she's taking a baby here. Look, this looks
almost like
a baby.
In the garage of Bridge's home hub. Yeah. Maybe, which is a strange place again.
And it's interesting that her character is called Mama, and we see her
looking after a baby,
almost delivering a baby in some way,
like a chiral baby.
And she can touch this.
Yeah,
we've seen before when you touch the chiral energy when it's dark, it rips you down into the hell dimension.
See, and is this then maybe how the Bridge babies are first brought into existence? So
maybe
we don't get born.
Yeah, maybe
there's an ability somehow to summon them into existence from another dimension, and perhaps that explains why they look a bit funny as well.
Yeah,
there's this like weird cycle of birth and death and rebirth.
But if you notice as well, there's obviously energy going on here because all the lights are flickering.
Yeah,
as if like there's something
spooky, weird, supernatural.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we can see more vehicles in the background and stuff. Storage, by the looks of it.
I mean, World War One theme again?
With this, that's one of those things that came down. Yeah, those carriers for men or tanks.
Sometimes vehicles, on the beaches.
Yeah.
This is our cue.
And she's got this photo in her hand again, which I'm guessing is
the picture of Sam and her daughter.
Probably,
We've got our QS character getting dragged away by nothing.
Yeah, we don't get this at all, do we? And then all these people.
Who look grey and
Yeah.
they're not looking at him either.
No, they're walking away as if they're finished with him in some way. I think.
Now the problem is, right, some of these potentially could be dream sequences, couldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think
just
this,
going to confuse us.
I wonder whether that's why this is. Is that why this is? Why there's a younger version of this character? I don't know.
But what this makes me think a little bit, right? It does make me think of Limbo or Purgatory. So all of these, people who have died or are in there are heading towards, I don't know, some sort of next step.
Yeah.
And because he's not greyed out, is he?
No.
He's being dragged, kicking and screaming, saying it's not your time. It's
Yeah.
not ready. You can't go there.
Yeah, maybe.
So is this him, his own personal journey, experimenting? Does he want to try and find a loved one? And they're saying no, not for you.
Yeah, because that's the Q character, isn't it?
Yeah. And he seems very upset.
Yeah, like he doesn't want to leave. Look, he's clawing at the ground as if to say, no, don't take me back.
I've seen my daughter, my wife,
whatever. Yeah,
and I just want to get back.
Yeah. And then we see Fragile, and I think we've mentioned before that we think this is a second playable character, don't we?
Yeah, and we've touched upon the spikes. I think we did at the start, didn't we?
Yeah, these are her version of the Carll Sensor, we think, aren't they?
Yeah, it seems to be. They pop up when there's some sort of energy going down.
Yeah. And we see this British logo. He's got a body on the back, and again we see this web that's sort of shooting out across this land.
Now the only thing we could say here is this that, because we know at some point he's carrying a body who's alive.
Yeah.
Is that Mama or is that somebody?
I think that might be Mama. I'm not sure.
Maybe after that scene where she gets crushed.
Yeah, maybe.
We don't know.
No.
We don't know.
And this is an introduction to all of the characters. I think it's
Is he crying there, or is that the chiral allergy?
I think it's very interesting here. I think what Hideo Kojima is doing here is setting out the landscape. So clear tears, that means you're on the side of a good, if we're going to categorise it. So he's in a good place. Cliff, obviously bad.
Man's looks cool, smoking.
Yeah. He's always smoking, isn't it? It's like an advertisement for smoking.
I think I saw that he smokes in real life, and Kojima saw him smoking once and thought it looked cool. So he made him smoke
to be
again.
fair, yeah.
But it fits the whole dark, smoggy, corrupted.
Fragile, clear tears again. Good person.
Innocence.
Mama.
Smiling.
Yeah.
Emotional.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see if this makes anything, but I can't really make much of it in the background. Just a blinking of...
Great facial recognition as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. Not recognition, but you know.
Dead man, special appearance.
Yeah, the special appearance basically means that he's there in physical form only.
Likeness only. Yeah.
I don't get this. Why has he got this scar running all the way as if he's had his top of his head taken?
Like a lobotomy.
Yeah.
The only character we've seen with a scar on the head, I think.
Yeah. All the other ones have had a scar on the stomach area.
Yeah.
Hartman. Again, clear tears.
And that makes you, the name Hartman. What's his badge say? Bridges.
Guy Hardman.
Who we actually think's a good guy.
Yeah, love this mask.
Ludens.
So good. Ludens.
It says Ludens on top of it.
Yeah?
I didn't realise that.
Oh, right. What's that in reference to?
Oh, the Ludens character, the mascot of Kojima Productions.
Oh, so do we think maybe this is the person that ends up in the...
Well, he does have that sort of...
Yeah.
He is in a mask of some kind.
Because he said that's not in the game, but
it
is in the game, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's obvious. That's all just nonsense.
But again, why has he got this kind of carbon fibre mask on? What purpose does it serve? Are these gold again?
Is there something wrong with his nose, maybe?
Yeah, has his face been destroyed?
Yeah, in some way. Higgs. Again,
so,
dark
do we know he's... Yeah, we know he's a homo demon, don't we?
Yeah. And a big whale in the background.
Yeah, strange. But again, we believe his eyebrows are equations.
Yeah, of some sort. We don't know what.
Which is perhaps a hint again towards his abilities.
Yes.
Which is why I think it also makes sense that they're runes, the dog tags. I'll convince you one day.
Now, I think red tears or blood tears, that means that these are in some way stuck between the worlds.
Yeah.
So they're neither good nor bad, they're almost alive.
Or is this a development of the chiral allergy?
Oh, maybe then they're at another level of it. Maybe.
Is that what she?
I see
Is
what
that
you're
what she
saying,
died
yeah.
of? Is this to do with the extinction factor? Is that why she was dying?
So you think maybe the chiral allergy starts as clear tears that you've got it, gets worse and you get red tears, and then maybe when you've got it full hog and it's taken over you, you have the dark
die.
tears.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
And then
maybe,
you
yeah.
become corrupted completely by the death zone.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. Something.
Almost like a transition.
Yeah. There's something going on.
Yeah,
in that
definitely.
wheelhouse.
And then we see this giant monster, which we're hoping we never have to fight.
Yeah, and this is Kojima's version of Metal Gear, isn't it? In this landscape,
yeah.
he likes his big kaiju level monsters.
It's like a colossi, isn't it? Basically,
Yeah.
you know.
And we've seen already, so in the Japanese demo, the octopus chiral monster,
Yeah.
and we've seen in a previous trailer the golden mask.
Yeah, like almost lion type
Yeah,
sort
like
of
a big
character.
cat
yeah,
monster.
yeah.
So we know we're probably going to have to fight these chiral.
This looks like some sort of hooved animal
Yeah.
of some sort, but massive.
Yeah, like a devil's hoof.
I think it's interesting to note this copping a
Gold.
feel.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, Christ. But gold everywhere. Gold, gold, gold. Bridge Baby.
This is Higgs, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
And he's
different
got Amelie.
different colour of Bridge Baby.
A blue colour. It's not lit up. It's not in use.
But they're orange. The Bridge Babies are orange.
Yeah,
So
they-
is this
they
a
generally
different
do
type
seem
of
to be.
Bridge Baby?
Mm.
And interesting to note that the chiral sensor here is deflecting
Multi-use.
bullets.
Yeah.
Now that might just be that it's doing it as part of the fact it's spinning, but it seems like it's protecting him.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
And the Bridge Baby looks like it's looking straight at this other person.
Mm. And that bridge baby looks like it's switched on,
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
doesn't it? Yeah.
Plugged in.
Mm.
And there's these shots where these people are trying to connect. These aren't. I think there's some sort of glass panel in between here with the reflections.
I mean, the only thing I could say about these being two different characters is this his wife that we couldn't see the picture of, and the resemblance is just the fact that they're mother and daughter with Bridget and Amelie.
Oh, that's a really good shout, mate. Yeah, maybe, mate.
And it's just that, it's a way for him to use Lucy Wagner as an actor and bring her back to that young stage.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
it's just literally the resemblance
Yeah.
because they're mother and daughter.
Yeah,
That is
maybe.
actually his wife.
Yeah, potentially, mate. And then we see these two. Does this suggest in some way that these get...
Close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's maybe a romantic plot line there. And I think there's also an element of, well, we've seen them in the game, and we've seen in a previous trailer where she kind of suggests to him, doesn't she? Do you want to come and work with me?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I can't. Well, maybe she defects from this Fragile Express company and they begin to work closer
Well,
together.
I think this is back at this place we're terming Mother Zone. Look, there's the same map on the wall
Oh,
here.
yeah.
So it's as if Fragile has come back to Bridges HQ for some reason.
This looks far on in the game though, doesn't it?
I would say this is a good chunk away from, further on in the game. It's a shame we don't have a bigger...
I know, just to
Because
see
we could see whether that, if this was bigger, we could see whether that theory is
Covered off more of the map.
exactly. And then we see this weird. These are like the Mads babies where they've almost become dolls. It's so weird.
And I'd say another kind of purely cinematic sequence of Kojima, and I don't think there's much, don't look too far into that. I think he's just sending out metaphors and
Yeah.
themes.
And then I don't get this at all. Grey area. Sam's grey. The only colour we see of his thing is red, as if this is an area where it's drained colour but not red. I don't get this at all.
Desolate landscape though again. So is this looks more like where we saw the Q character being dragged away earlier.
Yes, actually.
And they were all greyed out, similar to how Sam is greyed out. So is this some sort of limbo purgatory?
No
Yeah.
cargo, no Bridge Baby.
To go west and finish what Emily started.
Rebuilding America isn't going to get rid of the BTs. As long as they're still around, there's no
I
escape.
mean, this gun almost looks plastic.
It's cool, isn't it? It's like is it like a Colt or a Magnum
Have
sort
you
of thing?
seen them flare guns?
Yeah.
And the flare guns are made of plastic, aren't they? It looks a bit like that. I don't think it is a flare gun, but there's some, because there's metal things on his shoulders here.
I know, it's futuristic.
Great facial expression. Look at that.
We'll see some good performances in this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
think we're about rounding out, aren't we?
Close. We're going to see another scene from Mads, I believe.
You see, I've come to understand the truth.
So that's...
Who's this talking?
Is that Higgs?
The Death Stranding.
Troy
It's so
Baker's voice.
hard to form connections when you can't shake hands.
What is that in reference to? You can't form connections when you can't shake hands.
It's something to do with this chirality.
Yeah, yeah, like they can't touch anyone because it kills them or something.
Fortunately, I've got a good connection to the other side.
So is this a hint to say him and Mads are in, cahoots?
Yes.
Have they struck a deal of some kind?
Yeah, I mean, because there can't be loads of different fractions that you've got to fight against. There must be some people that are in cahoots in some way.
Yeah, he's giving Higgs power because they've got some sort of common goal in mind.
Yeah.
This is very reminiscent of Apocalypse Now, I think, as well.
He's such a cool character. I know he's the bad guy in this, but he's such a cool character.
Oh, yeah. He's a great actor, isn't he, as well?
Oh, yeah.
And again, another very Killzone-esque.
I like this because at this point you think those people with him, they're just other soldiers. And it's only when it lights up you think, no, they're dead.
Exactly, and just to pause, this is, again, this perfect kind of tableau of death in the middle and his four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah.
And we see this continuously, not just in scenes with Mads, but if we've seen, there's been various clips where you just see literally 5 kind of figures in the sky in the background. And I just wonder if those 5 figures are symbolic again of Mads and his four horsemen.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, how cool is this? Great fire as well.
That purple colour.
Greatly done fire. Fire is often one of the things I think is really hard to do in games.
Yeah, absolutely. To be convincing.
And then we see that these are obviously dead bodies. And he does his thing that says go.
And he's tied up to, we think, as well, doesn't we?
Yeah, we think he's in some way connected to that. And then we have it, a full, complete release date reveal.
Finally, a date we can look forward to for answers.
So what, we've got about 6 months to go? No.
Less than that.
Yeah, less than that, 5 months to go.
So I'm not surprised when it all comes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing they'll start to ramp up how much they're going to show now. We might get something every month now, maybe. Because they need to build the hype continuously now.
But I kind of hope they don't do a complete reveal on gameplay. I want a bit of a surprise.
But there'll be a playable demo of some sort before it comes out, won't there? Not necessarily for people like us, but for people. Like a video of a playthrough or whatever.
And clearly the world is so darn complicated that I don't even think a 40-minute playthrough would necessarily reveal everything going on.
Probably won't reveal a lot.
If you try to do it again.
Humans aren't made for living alone.
See, what does that mean? Humans aren't made for living alone, as in individually? Or do they mean alone? I don't know.
I think it's this metaphorical reference to us, breaking off in modern society into very individual lives with no community.
They're supposed to come together to help one another.
And we see this shot, don't we, of Sam
And if we as a people
Being swallowed by his chiral
drowning
oil.
Yeah. Tomorrow is in your hands.
That's what we need right now. Not to stand apart, but to come together.
And it's again this scenario of connecting, coming together,
uniting these cities.
Right, now we referenced this earlier. I think this is Origin.
Yeah,
this is where
Genesis.
Yeah. So this is Mads. Maybe he's a scientist. Maybe he's an engineer in some way, or he's in some way connected to the origin of this story.
The crucial moment that gets the ball rolling.
Exactly. I think he's maybe a scientist or something, and he's created these bridge babies, or found them, or
Show you the real thing soon. I promise.
I wish we could read what this book was.
The something and the something is what it looks like, but I've tried to have a search. I just can't get it, mate. I was thinking originally that the Earth and the Moon, but no, it's not that.
The last word's Earth, I think, isn't it?
I thought one of them was Earth, but It definitely looks like there's something and there's something.
Yeah, I don't know. But he's basically saying he'll protect this baby.
Barcadians, let's do some asynchronous research, please.
Please put it in there if you find out what it is. I mean, it might have no relevance. Interesting to know this here. This almost looks like a medical arm that can be used.
Some sort of...
Which that's what
assistant.
further suggests that we're in some sort of laboratory.
Mm.
Whole wide world will be yours to explore. You'll be able to go wherever you want. Even the moon.
Even the moon. There's got to be something about that. I'm convinced we're going to see these Ludens.
And as well, though, does that place us in a much earlier point in history? Because even the moon, saying that now, well, we'd be like, yeah, so what? We've been there. We're trying to get commercial flights.
Apparently.
Yeah. We're trying to get commercial flights set up. But this suggests, could this be like 1940s? Again, that's where the World War...
Yeah, that's true.
Well, previous to that would be World War One.
Yeah.
But then it would have been like even the moon. Wow.
Yeah.
So does that place us in some sort of historical context?
Yeah, I have no idea. Kojima Productions. And that's it. We're done.
Oh.
Well, I mean, that was a deep dive. That's going to be, 1 hour and 40 or something.
Oh my god.
But stick with it, guys. There's some real cool information there.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll put some timestamps on that so you can whiz through to maybe more important things. But certainly the start of this video is really cool, so you'll be interested in that.
We know there's people out there with their heads as far down the rabbit hole as us, so hopefully, however small that audience, you'll enjoy this. And if not, go and check out the summary at the start.
Exactly that. Exactly that.
So yeah.
That's another video done.
If you liked it, then please give us a like, and if you didn't, a dislike.
Feedback's always welcome.
And please subscribe to the channel if you want to see more from Rich and I.
And ring that bell for notifications so you know when we're dropping new content. There's a lot coming up in the future months, so keep with the channel. Thank
you for your patronage, existing subs.
Yeah, exactly that.
We couldn't do this without your support.
That's it. Another video for the archive.
Stamped and completed.